As a leader in the practice of data science, you can scale your data, you can scale your algorithms, you can scale your team, but are you scaling you? What is leadership? How are you amplifying your capabilities to produce more significant impact than what can be achieved as an individual? Are you influencing, supervising, directing, and inspiring projects and people around you? Hello, my name is Cathy Chong, co-author of How to Lead in Data Science, Manning Publications. I built and led teams at Silicon Valley Data Science, where my team and I parachuted into companies to address challenging and meaningful data needs. I have worked with leaders of centralized and distributed data teams at companies large and small, all betting the next product differentiation on data. Glad to be back moderating Ask Dr. Chong, How to Lead in Data Science, Part 6. Ask Dr. Chong is a series where Dr. Jike Chong addresses questions on situations and challenges encountered when taking the leadership roles in data science. If you're reading our book, you may have noticed that in Chapter 1, we have included several case studies highlighting common challenges we have observed in our experience. The case studies span from early career data scientists who recently entered this exciting field, to mid-stage people who are beginning to lead teams, to maturing leaders who head up functions and hold executive roles. In these monthly Ask Dr. Chong episodes, if you will, each time we address a case study for how a data science leader faces challenges in their career growth, the background, visible symptoms, often in the projects and or teams that they're leading, making diagnoses based on our TERA, TEEERA framework, and discuss what they can do to resolve those challenges. We invite your questions on the case study or from your own situations. Last time in part 5, we helped out Stephen, a data science director who was well respected for his technical skills, domain knowledge, and relationship with partners, but experienced low team morale. Today, we're going to discuss another case. As always, audience questions are welcome. It has been 10 years since Catherine earned a PhD in computer science. She spent the past 6 years serving as a head of data science for a public company and a 200-person startup. She was successful in addressing customer awareness and features adoption and revenue optimization, greatly accelerating company growth. Last year, she was invited to serve as a chief data scientist for a fast-growing startup. In less than a year, she was able to establish and implement on a clear data science technology roadmap, defined and drove the vision, mission, and principles for data science. She also captured some impressive business wins for the startup. However, the company was growing fast, and scaling the team was challenging a competitive talent marketplace. Catherine was recently caught off guard when Josh, a director managing 2 managers with an organization of a dozen data scientists, indicated his intention to leave. Josh is an early employee at the startup and reported to the CTO before Catherine came on board. Catherine is surprised and puzzled as to why this is happening. Let's give you a brief introduction of Jike Chong if you're joining us here for the first time, or just get some background information on him. Dr. Chong has personally mentored and promoted many data science leaders in the US and in China in public and private companies. As an executive, he's built and grown multiple high-performing data teams. Dr. Chong was part of the executive team that took Eden Digital Limited public on New York Stock Exchange. He also expanded and led the data team as a chief data scientist at Acorns, designed and executed a project predicting venture investment risks at Silver Lake, and led the hiring marketplace data science team at LinkedIn, serving a business line with $4 billion a year in revenue. Dr. Chong, we've been discussing how the 6th case from our book, How to Lead in Data Science. For those who may just be joining us, let's share a few reasons behind authoring this book, please.
Happy to do that, Cathy. Well, this is an exciting time for data scientists and the innovative companies that hires them. Because producing industry leading data science innovation is currently within reach of many nimbly sized organizations. We see that 95% of the companies with data science teams have teams of fewer than 10 members. Many data science leaders are eager to make great impact, but as they take on more responsibilities and develop themselves into executive leaders, they're seeing that the milestones and directions are not so clear. Some large companies like Google and LinkedIn have leadership programs that address this challenge internally and for some specific stage of career development of data science leaders. But what about the rest of us? How do we lead in data science? This is the main reason for writing the book. The book intends to help you understand your existing strengths and assess your developmental areas for the next stage of your career. It also gives you a window into the concerns of your managers and your managers' managers so that you can better understand where they might be coming from as they lead the larger organization. This book is currently in Manning's early access program, and where most of the chapters are already available, and more chapters are coming online soon.
Excellent. Let's take a look at Catherine's case. So here's a challenge. Catherine, head of data science or chief data scientist, is surprised and puzzled about regrettable attritions in her organization. It turns out that the data science organization has not been growing as fast as the rest of the organization, and the data science team is bogged down with more keep the light on projects rather than strategic projects. As the talent marketplace for data science become more competitive over the recent years, Catherine did not drive a prominent company identity in the data science community. While Catherine has been an excellent internal facing executive, she's not established a strong external facing identity or talent brand in the industry.
Yes, so for Catherine to succeed as an executive, she can focus more on the external facing aspect of her executive role, on building a strong talent pool, establishing identity in the industry, and differentiating the company with the data science capabilities from industry peers. So, successful data science executives should exude influence beyond their companies. They do this by producing highly valued accomplishments to demonstrate the impact of data science to inspire their industry. They operate with a sense of calm and confidence that leads to thoughtful and timely planning actions. They also present themselves with an executive presence that is centered on bringing out the best from those in their organization. For Catherine, she will do well to build a better external identity so that she can attract more talent to her organization. So, what would be a helpful self coaching process for Catherine in this case? Well, she can use this book to identify items where she excels at so that she can build her confidence. She can also highlight her blind spot and highlight the path that is personalized to her to meet her needs for leading the organization. And as she's in an organization, she's not alone. So she can leverage the rest of her organization to help her on that path and provide milestones for herself to have a clear roadmap for her own personal growth. So, how do you get the most from checking out a case like this? Well, you can see how you measure up to the person's strengths. You can see if you have similar opportunities for new practices, or if you have alternative solutions that will work even better in your case. You can see if you have similar type of support in your organization, as well as see if you can start to line up your personal roadmap to incorporate some of the new practices.
So just to add on to that, we this is the sixth case that we have worked on. So if you are at a stage of a tech lead or data science manager, data science director, there are other cases that would be directly relevant, may be directly relevant to your situation. So back to Catherine, data science executive. Very important to identify her strengths first. Let's look at her strengths.
Yes. So for Catherine, she's got quite a few leadership strengths. Uh, we list three here. One is articulating long term business strategy and roadmap in data. The second is about infusing data science capabilities into the mission and vision of the company so that it's easier for her members of her team to be able to work with other partners, cross functional partners, while referencing these company vision and mission. Thirdly, she can deliver consistently by managing the people. And she is actually already delivering pretty consistently by managing the people and process and platforms in her organization. So let's go through those one by one. So, what do we mean by articulating long term business strategy and road mapping data? Catherine, as a visionary subject matter expert in data science, can work on crafting business strategy to transform her industry. She's constantly looking for technologies that can fundamentally improve the way business is conducted. The two aspects of technology that she can focus on, and she is focusing on, right? One focus is what are the specific technologies that can transform the industry? And the other is how technology components are organized and architected in stacks that allow efficient collaboration across functions to be able to launch product and services. So let's look at some of these examples. In the what technology? We have technologies like stream processing, data lakehouse, self-serve insight, ML ops automation, as well as global data governance. These are examples of types of technologies that can transform her industry. Then you also have the how, the organization and architecture. Examples include resolving the tension between the stability and agility of data platforms, as well as using architectures like middleware to be able to agilely introduce new intelligent capabilities into the product. Diving deeper into the what part. So, as an example, for streaming, well, the challenge is that the database systems that were built over the past half century has been mostly focused on helping people collaborate across functions to produce insights and predictions in various domains. The paradigm can intelligently use data in these human based business processes, but for computing or automated decision making processes, the streaming architecture is can be more appropriate. So, in this case, common architecture today that people are migrating to is to utilize an income data stream, as you see in the diagram, and have some piece of it in the batch processing pipeline and other pieces of it in the stream processing pipeline, where intelligent decisions are being made on both the real-time data as well as historical information, so that these incoming data streams can trigger intelligent decisions in real time. This is the what. Let's look at also the how. Well, one example of a challenge is balancing the stability and agility in data science infrastructures. So as we see in the diagram, data engineering is critically dependent. The success of data engineering is critically dependent on the stability of the platform. And the business lines would want nothing more than agilely use the data infrastructure to be able to produce their uh, specific product features. So when this tension appears, what can we do to be able to resolve it? One way is to allow the data and metrics in our infrastructure to have different tiers of importance. One way to look at this is to have tier, for example, one way to separate these is separating your data and metrics into tier 0 to tier n, like tier 3, where a typical hierarchy includes metrics for company health, for vision health, vision progress, uh, tiers for product health, as well as functional health. So in mature organizations that maintains a set of executive tier metrics, um, they hold these metrics to very high standards so that they want these metrics to be as stable as possible. While specific product feature innovations can have metrics in the product health tier such that you can more agilely change them so that you can quickly measure the progress of your product development process. So we talked about the first one.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
We often hear that data science is team sport. So Catherine is great at aligning teams and partners. And how is she doing that?
Yes. So aligning teams and partners is really important for data science project. Catherine has a great way of infusing data capabilities, data science capabilities, into the mission and vision of the company. So often we notice when companies grow beyond 100 to 200 people, it can be increasingly challenging for executives to communicate and align the company's direction with every employee. So a crystallized set of vision and mission can guide the team members on path that can propel the company forward. So just to review that the vision of a company is the desired future position of an organization. It's a dream, the team's true north, whose primary objective is to inspire and create a shared sense of purpose throughout the company. Whereas the mission defines a company's business, its objectives, and its approach to reaching those objectives. When Catherine infuses data and intelligence capability in a company's vision and into a company's vision and mission statement, it doesn't mean simply have the data or intelligence capability in the text of the vision and mission statement. Because the vision statement are often industry specific and uh, you can just include keywords to include in there to that it can expand naturally to data and intelligence capabilities. So on this page, you see examples of two words like every. For example, it implies that there is some form of intelligent personalization that's in the product. There's also trust that often appear in people's mission or company's mission and vision statement. That implies a provider of reliable information, intelligent risk assessments, and some form of protection against fraud in a product or feature. So as Catherine infused these kind of data science capabilities into the company's mission and vision statement, her team can have the executive mandate and the influence to align priorities with partners in cross functional collaborations.
So very, very good. So you just talked about two different strengths that Catherine has. You talked about two aspects of technology for transforming the industry, and the what and the how. And then now you talk about a well-crafted vision and mission of the company with data intelligent concepts infused can ground the team members on how their daily execution is propelled
Mhm.
at the company, propelling the company forward. And on top of that, you also need to align, or as an executive, he or she would have to align partners for data science projects.
Yes.
So that directly talks about aligning functions with company vision and mission. Now, how is Catherine doing in terms of delivering results consistently?
Yeah. So Catherine is doing well in delivering results consistently through a good handle of managing people, processes, and platforms. So in managing people, Catherine is setting goals together with her data science directors to align on the results and avoid micromanagement. The process involves spending time with the directors at the beginning of a new project or at the beginning of a new set of responsibilities, where she can clarify the expectations and provide praise for what was done right and deliver redirections to correct for mistakes early on. To praise what was done right, Catherine observes her team's actions and notices those indicative of thoughtfulness in taking responsibility and producing positive results.
That actually reminds me. A long time ago, I saw this video where somebody was being complimented on, great job that you did. Thanks again. And the guy was a little baffled, and somebody else walks up to him and said, what did you do? And he thought about it and said, I think it was, well, I actually don't know. Whatever it was, I hope I do it again.
That's a very vague phrase.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. So what you're saying here is, in terms of praising for both positive and negative feedback, there has to be specificity
Yes.
to make it possible
Meaningful.
to meaningful
Yeah,
to either stop the bad behavior or reinforce the good behavior in this case.
absolutely. So that very much speaks to the praising specific actions.
Yes.
Right? At the same time, these praises needs to be timely, right? So that it is still relevant while the good action is top of mind for people. And it's not just about the positives, right? So it's also about noticing the mistakes or um, incidents that happens early on in projects so that you can quickly correct the direction from it. In correcting for these issues, there are four steps. One is to detect the issue. Then you need to recognize what the issue is, then to debug and resolve them. So for detect, when you want to detect issues early and provide feedback, especially as executives, you may need to look at using techniques like not just having one-on-ones with your direct reports, but also use office hours that invites anybody in your organization to come and talk to you about potential issues, as well as having skip level lunches with your team and skip level one-on-ones where required. In recognizing the issues, it's not just about seeing the issue, but also uh, diagnosing what are some of the dysfunctions in the team to focus. So, for example, there could be scope changes and delegation issues. There could be people issues like career development or having some kind of sentiment brewing in the team, or project issues like prioritization and scheduling and coordinating with partners that you can be of help for. And then there's a matter of debugging, like what is the root cause by observing past records yourself or by joining some team meetings uh, and diagnosing what are some of the dynamics in these team operations that you can help resolve or improve. For resolving, if it's caused by a blind spot in one of your data science managers, you can redirect by first pointing out the mistake, then reaffirming your trust in your directors or your managers to do better next time. Sometimes the issue involves a skill gap. So you may need to jump in and help resolve that issue. But make sure you are explaining to the struggling manager what was done so that it can help them better navigate similar situations next time. So that's managing the people side. Then there's managing the process side. Processes are the best practices that can be transferred from person to person, team to team, and organizations to organizations. So in observing the actions of your team and partner teams, you may notice those positive and negative outcomes that's being generated through people's existing practices. So managing those practices involves executing existing processes more broadly or driving new processes. So there could be the good processes that you want to reinforce. You may notice breakdowns, or you can manage the uh, implementation and democratization of best practices across more organizations and drive change. Then you have the platform management. So for platforms, we spoke about in earlier chapters that you can have A/B test frameworks as platforms. You can have data enrichment capabilities as platforms. You can have dashboard and reporting infrastructures as platforms, or common metrics workflow as a platform. And all these are ways for you to be able to democratize the best practices or processes from your team so that you can build these platforms to automate those processes such that partners and others can more effectively and consistently produce quality results.
So we spend a bit of time discovering and sharing Catherine's strength. That's articulating long-term business strategy and roadmaps in data, infusing data science capabilities into mission and vision, and delivering consistently by managing people, processes, and platforms. Let's take a look at the opportunities that can help her build a stronger external identity.
Yes, so let's also talk about three areas of opportunities for Catherine. So these include building a strong talent pool, establishing an identity in her industry, as well as identifying differentiation through data science for her company's product and services among industry peers. In building a strong talent pool, Catherine was effective in infusing intelligence capabilities into the company's vision and mission, but there remains the challenge of building a strong talent pool with to execute towards that vision and mission. So a talent pool is a set of potential candidate for your organization. It's primarily constrained by the skill sets required and the locations of your talent needs. It can also be constrained by the attractiveness of the company's mission and the compensation level the company can afford. So, how can you build a strong talent pool for your organization in the middle of an increasingly competitive talent marketplace? So, there are three levels you can consider at the organization level, the function level, and the team level. So, at the organization level, for large organizations that can go where talents are, there are locations around the world where pools of data science talents are growing fast. You can consider two types of investments. One, establishing centers of excellence for data science at tech hubs. And the other, you can also invest in academic centers where there are prominent data science academic programs so that you're following where the talents are being produced. When you're building at the function level, you can build a talent pool through multiple techniques, and they can range from the broadest reach to ones with the most specific impact. So these techniques include employer branding, content marketing, social recruiting, and tapping special interest groups. So for employer branding, this involves showcasing the data science function as a key stakeholder for the success of the company. For content marketing, you can appear on podcasts talking about the accomplishments and the needs of your company from the talent perspectives. You can write technical blogs or author books like this one that provide so that you can provide value to others in the fields. You can also have topics that introduces the type of initiatives you're working on, as well as introducing the industry's particularities to prospective candidates so that when they're looking to transition into your industry, they have a sense of what to expect. You can also use social recruiting, like using mining your own network sessions to provide a pipeline of referrals to your company, as well as expanding your network through university affiliations. Finally, to be most specific, you can tap into special interest groups and nurture those in your area. So these are talents with strong motivation to learn and grow, and often are active in meetup groups or now like clubhouse discussions. And you can cultivate relationship with this part through various means.
If I can add in a couple examples. For example, I've been a longtime volunteer for Talbot Pi, it's National Engineering Honor Society, and they have an annual recruiting fair, and now it's online, and that's a excellent source of affiliation, and it's an excellent source of social recruiting as well. A second point I wanted to add is I know we're talking about building a strong talent pool, but in Catherine's case, we also talked about Josh, a longtime employee who's looking to quit the company and go into something else. And we have a section in the book specifically talking about how do you address quitting. So
Mhm.
this session today, we're not going to be able to address every issue in that, but we selected three areas to focus on. But that is I wanted to make that comment. So we're not forgetting about Josh,
Yes.
and we do want to retain as well as recruit.
Yes, that's a good point. And throughout these slides, you can see on the top right corner, there is section labels about where we discuss these topics in much more detail in the book. So thirdly, like you can also build on the team level. And it's because it's often hard and if not impossible to find talents that have just the right combination of experience to accomplish your business objectives. What can you do to increase the talent pool that can meet your business needs? So, what you can do is you can also consider adopting a portfolio view for your data science talents that takes the data scientist's potential into account. So, rather than waiting for 3 to 4 months to find a team of individual talents to have all the skills required, you may consider hiring a team of data scientists in 1 or 2 months with complementary skill sets. So you can create projects for them to cross train each other so that they all develop the skills required for you to get the job done.
Well, this is very helpful. So Catherine can build a strong talent pool for her organization through working with at the organization, function, team level considerations. Is there anything else that she can do to raise the profile of her team and company?
Yes. So raising the profile of her team and company within the industry is critical for her to be able to attract talent. So industry-wide recognition can allow not to attract just to attract talent, but also to help her team to feel proud about their accomplishment, which reduces these kind of regrettable team churn. So we can discuss this in four parts, right? The product feature leadership, organizational structure leadership, technology platform leadership, as well as social responsibility leadership. And by the way, these are discussed in chapter 9, section 9.3.2 as well. So for product feature leadership, this is about driving a narrative of best in class feature in your category. One famous example is a Netflix prize with a $1 million cash reward for the winning team. And Netflix definitely produced a product feature, in this case, movie rating personalization leadership persona or identity in the industry. For organizational structure leadership,
There's also recently been the Project X, a prize, the X Prize targeted at identifying solution for COVID-19. So it's out there.
yes. So for organizational structure leadership, there's also the evangelizing for a particular type of organization structure in the data science organization. So Eric Carlson, the chief algorithm officer for Stitch Fix, is famous for uh, proposing a vertically integrated, full stack data science type of organization that can meet many of the new business model needs. There is also the technology platform leadership, which includes publishing papers and blogs on specific topics in data science. For example, Ron Kohavi, built an identity of industry leadership in controlled experiments through technologies and best practices shared through research publications, blogs, and books from Microsoft Bing search. For social responsibility leadership, there's there are many organizations who are now championing user privacy, AI transparency, and fairness in AI. And examples include Microsoft, Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn, all have teams set up to address these socially sensitive changes. So these are some possible dimensions Catherine can consider to establish leadership identity to improve team morale, reduce regrettable employee churn, as well as attract additional talents to her organization.
This is very good information. So Catherine can build a leadership identity in some dimension of the data science discipline. Now, at the industry front, can you talk a bit more about that?
Yes. So for the industry that Catherine is in, there's an important piece about building differentiation across the industry peers. So inspiring an industry with data science requires more than the catchy positioning with buzzwords thrown into marketing campaigns. So Catherine needs to create real value that can differentiate its services and products. There are six different areas of differentiation that we often see in these marketplaces.
Well, with the interest of time, can we highlight those, please?
Yes. So there is product differentiation that differentiates through key features with intelligent driven business models and data aggregation frameworks. There is service differentiation where you're differentiating between with the delivery, the unboxing, the customer service or ease of setup for your product or service. You also can differentiate through different distribution, where, for example, having a service on the mobile platform where it's available where and when the user needs it is good product distribution differentiation. There's also differentiations through relationships, reputation, and price that are all shared in the book, but we'll just skip over for now. So, depending on the industry and the maturity of the company, the opportunity to drive value for your company and inspire your industry can be different. So, Catherine can select a dimension where data science can make a differentiation to her industry at this particular stage of her company and build a narrative and strategy to work towards it.
These are some specific opportunities for Catherine. They're not comprehensive, but the highlighted ones are building a strong talent pool, establishing identity in industry. So maybe another way to look at it is external identity, external for the industry. And third is identifying differentiation among industry peers. And Catherine can also leverage around the organization to help her be more successful. Can you talk a bit about that, please?
Yes. So, as we can see, there's a lot on Catherine's plate, both building an internal facing uh, set of responsibilities as well as all these external facing responsibilities. So, one thing Catherine can do is request the team to be more proactive in internal processes like annual planning. So, planning best practices used at LinkedIn and shared from Airbnb and Eventbrite start with a clear declaration of goals for a successful and rigorous planning process. And this can also apply to data science. In this rigorous process, which we have a link for on the slide here, the executive's role is to specify the high level vision and strategy. This can reduce wasted effort from the team members proposing plans outside the top priority areas. So this is the executive providing context. And then the team member's responsibility is to propose plans that aligns with high-level vision and strategy, so that they provide these initial plans back to the executives. The executive collect feedback from the team and integrate and prioritize these projects to make a plan to make these plans, these point-wise plans, into a coherent strategy. And then this is the integration process. And then the team can take the integrated plan and tweak and confirm the buying of the final plan and before starting to execute. So this is the buying process. So with this W-shaped process, you can have a clear set of responsibilities. And if the team can be more autonomous and provide better plan and more nimble buyings for the executive plans, this can free up Catherine's time to be able to do more of the external facing work as an executive. Notice that for smaller data science teams, the function head may be the manager who also may be the tech lead. So context plan and integration can all be done within a small set of iterations. For mid-sized team, the head of the function or the executive may be managing multiple tech leads. So this can be done with a tightly coordinated process. In large organizations, this could be a pretty elaborate process that can be done on semi-annual or annual basis. So that's one area that Catherine can request her team to do. Catherine can also request the CEO's help in building the talent brand and to raise the profile of the data science team across the industry. So, with these support, Catherine can build influence beyond her company by building a talent brand, industry identity, as well as leverage social recruiting and interest group nurturing to hire more quickly so that she can accelerate the hiring process and relieve the tension in her team and lighten the load of the team on keeping the light on projects. This can also empower the team to do more strategic projects that advances the data science roadmap as well as the mission of the company.
Oops. This is we're talking about Catherine, by the way. So as we mentioned, as we mentioned, we are we talked about the strength and opportunities and where people can leverage, and we can now line up a roadmap to incorporate new practices for Catherine.
Yep. So
throughout the process, actually,
yes,
we had a little carryover from last time when we talked about Stephen. So that's okay. We'll fix that. And throughout the process of recognizing Catherine's strength and identifying opportunities, Catherine becomes more ready to acknowledge her own finiteness as an individual human being, to discover limitations relative to strength in gaining clarity to the path forward. So we do recommend a couple of processes for next steps in identifying the leadership strength and potential development areas. Catherine can experiment with a simple choose, practice, and review process, or CPR, with 2-week check-ins. She can also self-coach with the GROW model that we talked about before. Let's look at each one of those in more detail. So Catherine can choose 1 or 2 items from the table to work on. And as an example, she may choose to accelerate hiring with social hiring. So Dr. Chong talked a bit about this. This is really leveraging your networks, leveraging your affiliations, and to accomplish a goal to alleviate the pressure to always have to operate in the keeping the lights on type of project mentality. And for practice, if Catherine chooses to work on social recruiting to accelerate hiring, she can practice skills by organizing sessions, MYON sessions. What are those?
Myon sessions, right?
Thank
like
you, Myon sessions.
Mind your own network sessions.
Oh, of course, that was the mind your own network session to get referrals from existing team members or from your network. So I actually recently had to do that, and it was on LinkedIn and in another social network. It was very, very good. And with that, align milestones with our HR partners, human resource partners, and take responsibility for organizing cross-functional hiring committees to support the hiring needs as well. And now the R piece of the CPR, that's setting up a meeting with yourself or with herself, in Catherine's case, in 2 weeks to check in and to come back to the section of the book and assess if she has now gained a better understanding or command of the skill. How would she do this? She would look at, well, are there enough qualified candidates at the top of the pipeline? Are there hiring committees aligned on the criteria? Can the team see the path and progress to more resources to relieve the crunch, to keeping the light on? So in this case, you can choose, if you are doing this CPR for yourself, you can choose to take another sprint at this time. So 2 weeks is, we talk about it as a sprint. Take another sprint if you want to further develop the skill or move on to the next CPR cycle. So now let's take a look at the self-coaching with Grow. As an example, if you decide to focus on accelerating hiring by building at the function level using social recruiting, you can practice organizing my-on sessions to get referrals from existing team members, as we just talked about, in line with HR partners and as well as the functional hiring committee members to support the hiring needs. Now we have to check on reality. What actions have we taken so far? And what do you need? Who do you need support from? And what resources do you need? And if we're looking at the third piece, the obstacles or options, some questions to answer include: are there projects that compete for the resources you need? Are there risks that you need to anticipate? What are the mitigation options? And finally, the fourth piece, the W piece, the will or way forward. What options will you choose? Do you need to deprioritize other projects to focus on accelerating hiring? When will you start on each action? And what will you commit to on doing? And how do you evaluate whether you have achieved the hiring goals? And you can schedule a review again in the sprint or in 2 weeks to take the next step. So this aligns with our book fairly closely. So if you take a look at, well, this is an eye chart. It's not meant to be read word for word, but if you look at the heading, the tech lead, team manager, function director, and company executive, this is how we organized the book, How to Lead in Data Science. Now, Catherine's role is that of company executive. In each part of these books, part 1, 2, 3, and 4, each stage has 2 parts: the hard skills or capabilities, as we call it, or the soft skills that are psychosocial skills. So those 2 are defined as capabilities and virtues in how to lead in data science. Capabilities are further discussed in TEE, or technology execution and expert knowledge. Technology refers to the tools and frameworks for you to lead more effectively. These are used in framing the problem, understanding data characteristics, innovating in feature engineering, driving clarity in modeling strategies, etc., etc. Execution is a practice for you to specify problems into vague requirements, or specify projects from vague requirements, prioritize and plan projects while balancing difficult trade-offs. Expert knowledge is a domain knowledge for you to clarify project alignment to organizational vision and mission, account for data source nuances, and navigate structural challenges in organizations. So you recognize the clarifying the alignment to organizational vision and mission as part of the expert knowledge for Catherine. Virtues are further discussed in ERA, or ethics, rigor, and attitude. Ethics refers to standards of conduct at work that enable you to avoid unnecessary and self-inflicted breakdowns. There are many different aspects: data use, data project execution, teamwork, and more. Rigor refers to the craftsmanship that generates trust in the results data scientists produce. Rigorous results are repeatable, testable, and discoverable. And rigorous work products can become solid foundations for creating enterprise value. And attitude are the moods in which you approach workplace situations. With positivity and tenacity to work through failures, data scientists and data science leaders should be curious and collaborative team members. We should also respect the diverse perspective as well. On this chart, we have strength, opportunities, and leverage. I want to guide your eyes to the eye chart where the different colors highlighted are strengths, opportunities, and strengths, leverages, and opportunities respectively: green, blue, and red. So in terms of strength, we talked about articulating long-term strategy, crafting mission and vision, and delivering consistently. So you remember the six different dimensions, sorry, the two aspects of technology for transforming industry in the articulating long-term strategy piece, the what and how, for example. And that all goes into the strength. And you can see that on the eye chart in the virtues section under actually the director, sorry, under the virtues, under the capability section for both the company executive, data science executive, as well as the data science director section for Catherine. On leverage, the blue, that it's team to drive annual planning, leverage the team and leverage the CEO for more brand building. And in the case of a larger company, it may not be the CEO. She's in a startup, fast growing startup. In the larger company, it may be your business unit executive. It may be your executive VP or others. Now, that you can find in the virtues section, actually under the directors section. So this chart is not strictly, the boundaries are not strict. In fact, you can.
So this is leveraging her direct reports, right?
Absolutely.
That's why it's in the director level.
Gotcha. So that's the leveraging her team to drive
Yes.
the annual planning as well.
Yes.
So for opportunities, you can see both in capabilities and in the virtue section, in building a strong talent pool, establishing identity in industry, and differentiate from the peers in the industry. So How to Lead in Data Science is the book that we are authoring. Several chapters, 9 chapters are available on the Manning Early Access Program at this time. It is a practical guide for the unique challenges for data science leadership. And whether you are leading a project, leading a team, leading a function, or leading in the industry, these are all they're all unique challenges and potential guidelines and potential recommendations on how to address those. So the 6 cases are here, and the links, you can review it. And what we are planning to do going into the future is we're going to take a poll or a survey. So do follow us on LinkedIn and connect with us, if you will. And we're going to put a survey out there to see what you would like to see next. And we will come back in a month time, or within a couple weeks time for the session for next month.
Yes. And if you want to get in touch with us to share your stories, or if you have questions that you would like us to discuss in a future session, please let us know. So we've been reaching out to many data science leaders and getting their diverse perspective. One of which I see is a question here.
Sure. So a team member with deep knowledge in one domain and is well respected for his technology capabilities, but he's recently been passionately pushing for technology in another domain that does not seem to have direct relevance to the current direction of the company. But the leader saying, if I don't let him pursue that direction, he may quit the company and hurt the team morale. But if I do let him pursue that, we would not be able to accomplish the strategic directions with velocity. So how do you recommend that I deal with this situation?
Wow, yeah, that's a pretty challenging situation. Um, you as a data science leader may have encountered this. This is a common situation with team members, especially with advanced degrees. Um, Part of this stems from the researcher mindset, where you want a portfolio of ideas on the table, uh, in conflict with a business mindset, where you want a clear focus on a particular direction with lots of people working in the same direction. So, when dealing with this situation, I would recommend a sequence of 3 steps. Like the first step is to first understand the deeper motivation behind your team member's push. Right? Start with a broader conversation about your team member's career ambitions. Is he or she looking for identity or accomplishments? understand how he sees his push for the technology fit into his career goals, and how does he see himself in 5 years. So when you have a deeper understanding of his motivation, then there may be multiple options forward other than pushing this one particular technology. So if he's still persistent in pushing this technology, maybe there is something to it. So you can guide him to focus on the intersection of his career goals as well as a company direction, right? So if through discussion it's clear that the technology is adjacent to the business, so not directly connected, you can praise his continued passion for learning, and uh, allow him to do it on his own time, and encourage him to always check back as he sees an intersection between the particular technology he's pushing and the company's direction. And you can also have him present the technology to the team as part of knowledge sharing or keeping up with the technology landscape. So that can help him build his identity and help him build his ego, share his ego with the technology ego with the team. And you can also have him leverage the team to see whether there is any interactions that he may not have seen before. So you can also guide him through answering the questions on RICE, like the reach, impact, confidence, and efforts that's required to build a successful project with his technology push. So it can be placed on the prioritization list for the company and prioritized uh, as one of many projects in the company. So in this process, you can allow the data science team as well as partner teams to ask questions about these alignments and may provide feedback that can find alignments that he may not have seen himself. And third step is really as an executive, you're really trying to bring out the best in people. So the goal is to help him drive something that aligns with the company's direction and career goals. So actually, by working with him through these processes, it's not just about the technology he's pushing, but also developing him into a tech lead that is able to be able to identify future technical directions that does align tightly with the company goals in the future. And for this, you can refer to chapter 2 and 3 in the book, where we discussed extensively about what are some of the responsibilities of a tech lead and inspire him to developing those directions. So hopefully this helps.
Very good. So with that, that's our 6 sessions about different cases in how to lead in data science. And there's Brian, who's a senior data scientist. There's Jennifer, who's a tech lead, facing some challenges. Paul, who's a manager. Um, Audra, also a manager, and Stephen, director, that we discussed last time in March, and Catherine, who's a chief data scientist and an executive in this session. So hope hope this was a good use of the time and also attention, and we look forward to seeing you in the near future.